Great. This is not a speech. Ooh. This is not a speech. This is an open letter. We have more food? What is that? Fruit. Good. Fruit. Great. Risa thought it was a good idea to go on a cruise a couple of weeks ago. And we did. And I enjoyed the cruise. And I took that opportunity to write a letter to you. And so this is kind of an open letter. I have a slightly weak voice. I hope I can make it. I just kind of got over a cold. I've got a candy here. I might just stop squeaking. Let me just put the candy over here. My wife said, "Don't take it." Okay. So this is an hold the mic. Hold the mic. Hold the mic. Okay, but I'm going to run out of hands. Okay, Rabbi. Great. Good timing. We can write that. This is Rabbi. Okay, you stand here. Stand here. Okay, don't be pushy. Okay.
I would just pass you the papers one at a time.
What?
There's water.
Water. Why do I have water? There's Coke right here. We'll have Coke right here. We have the Coke over there. Can I have the Coke? Is Rabbi comfortable? Rabbi, are you comfortable? You got a drink? What are you drinking? What are you drinking?
Wait till after
Okay. Okay. So this, I actually, Risa has asked me, encouraged me to title things, so I called this Ship Shape. I just got back from working out because you see, I'm trying to get in shape for my upcoming birthday. There is something sobering about turning 65. I suppose with this birthday, I will become the new young old. I recently learned the definition of who is old, and the logic goes as follows. Someone is old if they are 15 years older than you. So I tip my hat to anyone who is 80 years old or older, and thank you, relatively speaking, for keeping me forever young, or at least younger. My father-in-law, Manly Tesler, I guess everybody here remembers Manly, a blessed memory, was a navigator of sorts and helped me set my compass. Whatever direction Manly was thinking of heading or heading towards, I knew that I probably would do best by heading in exactly the opposite direction. The process was quite clarifying. My father-in-law had a set of beliefs that he held based not on the facts, but on his personal experiences of life. For example, there was no need to wear a seatbelt because in his personal experience of driving a car for 70 years, he never needed one, and therefore they were useless, and no one needed one. Another belief he had was that aging had no relationship to the chance of you dying. This is because he had observed that many people far younger than him had died. And therefore, in the world according to Manly, age did not put you at any greater risk. Keeping that in mind, you can see why I was a little surprised to just learn that when a man turns 65 like I am today, his life expectancy actually goes up. The average 65-year-old man can now be expected to live another 27 years. In other words, his life expectancy can be better than a younger man. This is because if you make it to 65, you've already outlived many of the potential life-threatening problems that a younger man would face, such as being killed drunk driving, or falling off a mountain, or being shot in the back by a jealous husband. So alas, and this is not the first time, Manly, though posthumously, was correct. As I say, I just got finished working out. My wife Reese and I are on a luxury ship called the Reflection, which is the newest ship in the Solstice class celebrity cruise line. Therefore, I will take the name of the ship, the Reflection, as a cue and try to do my own reflection about who I am and who influenced me along my journey to this day. Self-reflection is always quite challenging, and probably most people try to avoid it. One of the dangers is that you can be quite wrong about yourself, and you're probably going to be more critical of yourself than others. So this being my birthday, I'm going to try to be kind to myself. Most of us like to look good and hope to be perceived of as better than we are. That's just part of the game of life. Have you ever had a picture taken of yourself and someone shows you the pictures and says, "You look good in this one"? So you look at it and you say, "Destroy that picture immediately." That's not me. This picture makes me look fat or old or weird or all three. Not only do you want the picture erased from the camera, but what if the picture had already been emailed, or worse, posted on Facebook? The whole world, and by that I mean people who had gone to high school with you, could be viewing it and saying things like, "I knew he would turn out like that." So at last I asked the question, who is the real me? The man in the snapshot, or the man who is now staring at me in the mirror, which, by the way, is now rocking back and forth with the swell of the ocean while I'm trying to level with you? I think I can safely say that I am not as good as most people think I am. But I'm probably not as bad as I think I am. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. So who am I? Who exactly is David Feinstein circa May 18th, 2013? First of all, I want to say that I look younger than my age, or at least my feet do. In fact, as I stare down at them, if it wasn't for a linear ridge I have on my right great toe, and perhaps some slight discoloration, my feet look remarkably good. And I think that if you restrict your observations to my feet alone, I could look like I was 20 years old. But of course, that is where any other similarities would end. In any case, I'm glad to have them looking so young, because they need to hold me up a lot longer. First of all, I am not one person. I am many people. Not because I have different personalities, but because I am a different person to different people. I exist only in respect to a reference point, and that reference point changes according to who is doing the observing. For example, if I say something and someone can find the humor in what I said, then he would think I was funny. If the person didn't get the joke or couldn't relate to what I said, he would not think I was funny. He would not think I was funny. So was I funny or was I not funny? The answer is that I was both, even though the answer should have been mutually exclusive. People are like an agam painting, which changes according to the angle or the perspective from which it is viewed. Given that limitation, I will go on. I am a grandson and a son. My parents are no longer with me, but I'm sure they are sitting in the front row of some heavenly bleacher cheering me on. I think I was a good son. I didn't give my parents too much grief, dismissing, of course, a few acts of defiance that came with the territory. Besides, my sister and brother growing up were more egregious than I, so that helped me look good. I learned a lot from my parents. From my mother, I learned the difference between bad and good. From my father, I learned the difference between bad and very bad. My mother had a great influence on me. Her uncritical confidence in me helped me always want to do better. My father's critical confidence in me helped me always not want to do worse. My parents' love transported me from infancy through childhood to adulthood, and my love for them allowed me to escort them from adulthood back through childhood and ultimately to infancy. I am grateful for both of those journeys. If I've been a good parent, it is to a large part because I've had good parents who are still whispering to me words of encouragement. I am, of course, a parent, which has been my most trying role. If at times I was hard on my children, it was because I wanted my children to jump higher and reach farther than I did. After all, they lived a privileged life. I was 18 before my first airplane ride. By 18, they had collectively racked up enough air miles to travel to the moon and back. I was probably hardest on Ari. After all, he walked when he was 7 months old, rode a two-wheeler at 3, and was the top of his class in kindergarten. I figured with his looks, brains, and charismatic smile, he could do great things. And so he has. I tried to push Suri, but it was like pushing the wind. She is a vapor. She fills a room with her presence and can resist any amount of pressure exerted on her. Suri gave me my first insight in how I needed to behave with little girls who soon became big girls who became mothers. My second daughter, Carrie's birth traversed the days of transition from Canada to the United States. Carrie was stubborn, but with a better sense of humor than Ari and Suri, and she forced me to learn how to deal with a determined female. She was not adventurous like Suri or abstract like Ari, but was most focused on success, and I had to learn how to just stay out of her way. And I have. Lauren, after arriving 14 years after Ari and 9 years after Carrie, gave me the opportunity to try out parenting once again at the more seasoned age of 39 and not 25 like what we had when we had Ari. I was better prepared and I enjoyed every precious moment with her. I learned to share parenting her with her brother and sisters. Lauren's childhood medical challenge taught me humility, and not a day goes by that I have not felt immense gratitude. I now find myself on a ship in the Caribbean. The last time I was here was 22 years ago when Reese and I took our 4-year-old Lauren on a victory lap around the Caribbean. Lauren's success constantly surprises me. In her life, she has pulled many bunnies out of a hat. If she thinks we are amazing parents, it is because she has constantly amazed us. Abby, our last addition, added a lot to our shampoo bill. and to our family. She taught me an important lesson. There was still room at the kitchen table. Love is not limited by number or by parent of natural origin. Love is a work in progress, and I continue to make good progress. We look forward to all the further additions she will soon be bringing to this family. For daughter-in-law Dana and son-in-laws Dave and Jay, I have learned how to share my children. This came as a welcome and relieving surprise. Each of them has had a chance as circumstances arose to come and live with Mom and I at the old homestead in Hughes Lane. This was possible because of the policy that Ari aptly named the right of return, which of course extends to spouses, grandchildren, housekeepers, dogs, and gerbils, but not reptiles. Although as of yet I have not been fully endowed by them with the name as parents, I hope to one day, at least before they have to parent me. Grandchildren, of which I have 9 and 2 still circling, have had a profound effect on me. I get to share with their parents all their joy and bear little of the responsibility. It's a perfect job. The story has it that a grandfather was looking after his grandson in the grandfather's home when his daughter, the boy's mother, arrived. She found her son leaping from the coffee table to the sofa. Rather sternly, she scolded her father, "Dad, in our home, we don't allow our son to jump off coffee tables." Her father answers, "Nor should you." I was never a good swimmer because without a lot of effort, I tend to sink. Having grandchildren have made me more buoyant, not to mention my higher percentage body fat. So let me now turn my attention to the remaining person who has helped shape me into who I am, and that is my wife, Risa. Trying to figure out how Risa has influenced me is difficult because of a problem of distance. I've always wondered how you can know and understand a constellation, the Milky Way, because the sun is part of it. Normally it takes some separation in order to gain some understanding, and when it comes to Risa and I, there is no daylight. Not counting the fact that I've known Risa since she was 16 and I was almost 18. She and I have been continuously together since the end of my first year of medical school. She sat beside me when I studied at my desk, a kitchen table in our bedroom, in our first apartment on Vesta Drive in Toronto. She tried to sleep with me whenever she could avoid being detected when I took night call as a medical resident. She took part in every important decision in my life, and we have worked together running our medical practice together. And over the last 42 years, we have raised an ever-enlarging family. I like to think that we're a team, each of us using our own time and different skills to work on our common goals. But how am I different? How have I been influenced? How would I have evolved had I not met the woman in the red dress who floated down from the lofty second-floor bedroom in the family split-level home on Blue Forest Drive on the very day that I wrote my MCAT exams? No doubt I would have been different, but how? First of all, I don't think I would have been as comfortable in my skin, not to mention my clothes. When I look back at photos of myself and how I chose to dress and wear my hair, I shock even myself. I have no idea what I was thinking about. Now I dress better, and I think I feel more relaxed with myself because of the confidence that Reese has blown into my nostrils. I think I'm less competitive than I used to be. Earlier in my life, I was fiercely competitive. Not that I wanted to always do better than my colleagues. In fact, I would try to share anything I understood better with them. I was, though, fiercely competitive with myself. I always wanted to exceed my own expectations of myself because only then would I know that I had tried hard enough. Over time, however, and with Reese threatening to kill me, if I spent any longer with my books, she somehow teased me away from them. And I have come to feel comfortable with just doing well and leaving superlatives to others. If my maker ever asks why I didn't do better, I'm going to have to confess that it was because of my wife, who coerced me to take a bite of the apple. Risa has, of course, affected me in many ways. I've been sexually abused by her, but only in a good way. She has forced me to slow down and smell the roses and see the trees, not just the forest. She even got me to eat more vegetables, nuts, and recently olive oil. But perhaps most importantly, she has made me into a happier person. I may not laugh out loud a lot, like the man who sat behind me at dinner last night with a raucous laugh, or even smile that much. But on the inside, I am truly happy. And that is mostly because of Reese's Pieces, not just the candy bar. So though I now would prefer to quote the great Oz and say, ignore the little man behind the curtain, I feel I must say something directly about my least favorite subject, the man behind the curtain, myself. Today at brunch, we went to the buffet at the Opus restaurant on the cruise ship. Normally we would eat in a small restaurant called Blue, which is for health-minded people who like to spend more on food than is absolutely necessary. Today was the famed buffet, and I, along with 3,000 of my closest co-religionists, made our way into a large gleaming room filled with every food known to man and fish. Many of these people behaved as if they had not seen food for at least an hour, and were busy piling it up on their plates. I wondered as I stared at their selected foods how their individual choices reflected not only their appetite, but their character. I suppose we are, to a certain extent, what we eat. I conclude, therefore, that a good part of me must be waffles and maple syrup, orange slices, and decaffeinated coffee with my one unique mixture of sugar and Splenda. I suppose another way of gaining insight into someone can be answered by the question, how do you spend your time? After all, we make daily and hourly decisions that can be quite revealing. Most of my average day is spent looking after patients, and though this is a necessity, I suppose I would choose to do so even independent of any financial incentive. Medicine is a calling, and it is still calling. My persona is very tied up in my profession. It is where I mostly me, trying to use the science and art of medicine to help people. I guess I feel happiest when I know I have helped someone, and it gives me satisfaction when I'm most effective. Weaving the family together, how she served hot lunch at the grandkids' school, how about her many carpools, pickups, and after-school dates with them. When it comes to grandchildren, Reese has great patience, enthusiasm, and talent, and I get to ride on her coattails. I frequently spend my time working on my next lecture, or thinking about how to improve my book, or feeding my birds. I also spend time taking and printing pictures and making albums. Risa fondly refers to me as Josephus, the first-century biblical historian and scribe. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, I've already exceeded Encyclopedia Britannica, which for the younger people here was the paper forerunner of Wikipedia. But the best part of the day is always getting into bed at night with my bride, and I usually say to her, almost every night, "This is the greatest moment of my life. I can't remember the past. I have no trust in the future. This is the moment." And then we snuggle up in our usual configuration and ride the waves together into the deep blue sea. As is the Jewish tradition, Reese and I got married under chuppah, a simple built and beautiful adorned tent that is open on all sides. The chuppah is to remind us of Abraham and Sarah's tent, which is open to all family and friends, and even strangers who are welcomed into the home. The chuppah could also symbolize open-mindedness and honesty, two of the supporting pillars of a successful marriage. I have tried to live with this openness. Our home has in fact always been available, the only place other than our home where more people have been welcomed in this city is the Westin Hotel. If I have been anything, it is honest, and I shall remain so. Honest with my wife, honest with my family, honest with my practice, my employees, my faith, and most of all, honest with myself. So therefore, I can conclude by saying that I am a happy, honest, trying to be open-minded, non-competitive husband, grandson, son, son-in-law, father, father-in-law, grandfather, brother, brother-in-law, and friend, who is also a bird-feeding, photograph-printing, well-positioned microphone-holding physician who has been trying his best to carry forward the sacred spark. I feel privileged to have been born almost to the day in May 1948 when the State of Israel was born, and I am most grateful for all of you who are here tonight to celebrate the 65th anniversary of my birth.
That's each every day.
Just remember